Kia ora, good evening. The search for missing 11-year-old Mike Beckenridge and his stepfather John Beckenridge continues in the Catlins area. The pair have been missing for over 2 weeks. Police have confirmed today the vehicle in Curio Bay waters is the missing dark blue Volkswagen that Beckenridge was last seen driving. A partial search in difficult conditions was unsuccessful in gaining any further information about what's in the vehicle, and police are still working through the process of how to extract the car. John Beckenridge, who has several aliases, is Mike's estranged stepfather, and his contact with Mike is in breach of a parenting order. Police continue to treat the case as a missing persons inquiry and ask members of the public to remain vigilant. Invercargill CIB are investigating a serious assault that left a 27-year-old female in Southland Hospital with stab wounds. The incident took place in the town in the early hours of Sunday morning, and police say the stabbing was not the result of a fight. A 40-year-old Te Anau woman has been arrested in relation to the assault and appeared in the Invercargill District Court today. The government's bid to address unnecessary rules and regulations is well underway, with the first of the meetings kicking off in Southland. The Rules Reduction Task Force is a nationwide initiative for the public to voice concerns over property rules they deem unnecessary. The government released the initiative to re-evaluate outdated rules and help property owners and builders from being held up by unnecessary regulations. The first of the task force public meetings was held earlier this month and received a huge response from Southland businesses, farmers, builders and homeowners.
Oh look, it went really well. We had about, 40, 50 people show up, and they were really constructive about some of the things that they wanted to see changed. We had farmers, we had landlords, people from the council, just a raft of different people involved in the building or wider building trade.
And what were some of the concerns?
Well, on a high level, really inconsistencies between councils with respect to building regulations and standards, but a lot of comment also about the RMA and also health and safety. Certainly there's frustration for their own situation, but this isn't a task force about individual specific cases, albeit I will be following up some of those issues if those constituents want me to. But this is about more high level stuff and whether we can get some good wins across the line and solutions for the building industry.
What stage are we in at the moment?
Well, submissions of course haven't closed. They close on the 1st of June. My understanding is we've got about 316 submissions already, and there's a series of more meetings to be run throughout the country. So we're still compiling the data, and once we've got that, then we'll feed back on that.
So how effective do you think this whole process has been?
Well, I think it's going to be very effective because, when a government needs to hear what's happening on the ground, it's best to go out to the people, and that's what we're doing. We're listening to constituents' concerns, and that will be fed through the process.
A New Zealand Transport Agency policy allowance this month will see urban streets lined with cheaper and more efficient lighting over the next few years. Cities across the country will be converting their road lighting to light-emitting diode or LED lights after access to the Road Lighting Fund was accelerated. The Transport Minister announced earlier this month a policy change which will allow local authorities to access funding faster, allowing all councils to begin the conversion in the immediate future. Over the next 3 years, the NZTA and local government will spend approximately $66 million converting road lighting to LED and another $39 million in the 3 years from 2018. Invercargill's one of the few cities already trialling LED road lighting and has plans to roll it out across the city.
We've started a trial with LED lights approximately 18 months to 2 years ago, and we were really trying to see whether or not that they would sort of fit into our environment, whether we got positive feedback from people, because LED lights have always been sort of a nice cost-saving and efficient way to go forward.
And how has the trial gone so far?
Well, it's been pretty quiet really. We've installed them in 4 streets in the Windsor area just to have a look, and we've had very little feedback from the people, to be fair, but that's probably quite good. These lights are more efficient in that they use less electricity. They generally use about half the electricity that a normal sodium light does. That's about 30 to 35 watts. plus they also have much less maintenance to be done over their life. So that's the combination of the two things. We'll save in electricity and we'll save in maintenance and replacement. Well, the lights are quite different. They're a white light, so what we were trying to do is 4 different fittings to actually see whether or not we like one over preference over the other ones, but the lighting levels are very similar to what we've been getting elsewhere, and we've tested them and had a look to make sure we're getting the efficiencies and those sorts of things out of them. At the moment, LEDs have sort of been emerging as an emerging technology, and over the last probably 2 to 5 years that they've got better and better and better, and as those things get, their prices come down to the point where now when you install new lights you'll always install LEDs. We've got an upgrading program that we've been working on for the last 6 years, so the next 5 years, which is the end of that first stage, we'll be replacing those lights with LED lights, and then after that our plan is to go forward throughout the city and replace the whole lights over, I think it's the following 6 years. So it will take us a little while to do it as the lights become at the end of their life, but that's our current plan.
Stay with us after the break. We'll take a look at the Heritage Month events from around Southland. Welcome back. Invercargill woman Ria Bond looks set to become the region's third MP alongside Nationals Sarah Dowie and Todd Barclay. The former hairdresser unsuccessfully stood for New Zealand First in the Invercargill electorate last year, but with Winston Peters' Northland win in the by-election at the weekend, Peters can now resign his list position, leaving a vacancy. Bond has been working from Wellington as assistant to 2 New Zealand First MPs since standing for the Invercargill seat. In a nondescript hall in suburban Invercargill, dozens of young dancers are busily preparing to compete in the National Rock and Roll Championships this Easter. The Invercargill Rock and Roll Club has a very strong following, and junior dancers are punching well above their weight at a national level. This year there will be 30 children aged between 5 and 18 competing at the New Zealand Champs in Christchurch. Dancers are judged on appearance, timing, harmony, variety of moves and enjoyment, but what makes it tricky is they don't know what song they'll be dancing to until they hit the floor. Competitors have been training since January for the Champs, practicing moves to a variety of dancing speeds, and it's the enthusiasm of the younger dancers that's growing the club.
It's mainly the kids that have driven the whole thing. They've really pushed the rock and roll in Invercargill, doing the demonstrations around the town, at schools, local events, the netball, the basketball. They're the ones that have really pushed it to make it what it is today. Roughly from between 40 to 50 odd kids involved in the club, and in that mix of kids there's around 6 to 7 couples that are national champions. Rock and roll is definitely making a revival. Right back to 1950, that's where it all started, rebellious dancing, and the way we're seeing it at the moment, the last 4 years, it's happening everywhere, so yep, definitely making a revival.
The Invercargill CBD revisited some of the city's older traditions on Friday night as the first of the weekend's biggest Heritage Month events kicked off.
It was a step in time for the CBD on Friday night as Heritage Month's biggest event got underway. The whole month was leading up to the CBD extravaganza, and it certainly lived up to the hype, drawing huge crowds to the city's main streets. When the displays gave people something to admire before enjoying some good old late night shopping. Horse and cart rides down Don Street were one of the main attractions to the event, as well as some vintage cars lining the streets. A reenactment of the Queen's visit to Invercargill atop the Grand Hotel and plenty of other costumes helped to set the scene. A CBD treasure hunt kept the kids busy, and some old movie screenings had some of Invercargill's older residents reminiscing. Event organisers said they were extremely pleased with how the event turned out and are taking surveys from the public to make next year even bigger and better.
Riverton joined in on the Heritage Month fun at the weekend by highlighting the diversity of heritage trees and the importance of homegrown produce.
It was a busy weekend for Riverton as the town played its part in Southland's Heritage Month. The 7th annual Heritage Harvest Festival kicked off on Saturday and invited the public to celebrate Southland's home harvest. Big crowds turned out for the festival, which gave people the opportunity to sample some local produce and get involved in some family activities. The festival offered a wide range of workshops which kicked off early Saturday morning, including tips on preserving fruits, beekeeping, foraging, flax weaving and even boutique beer brewing to keep Dad busy for the day. The big event wound up with a potluck traditional heritage feast on Saturday night.
And businesses all around Riverton were joining in on the festivities, including the Templeton Flax Mill Heritage Museum, which opened its doors to the public on Sunday.
The Flax Mill Museum is nationally recognised as the only authentic flax mill plant operating on its original site. On Sunday, the public were treated to live demonstrations of flax processing technology used in Southland during the 60s and 70s. The museum hosts open days just once every 2 years and was quick to fill seats. And to wrap up the weekend's festivities, the Thornbury Vintage Tractor Museum rolled out some of its old and trusty tractors, which seemed to take the kids' interest, as well as opening its doors for the public to view some vintage machinery, memorabilia and sawmilling displays.
Around 1,200 children competed for top spot at the 2015 Southland Primary Schools Athletic Championships on Saturday. Surrey Park Athletic Stadium was abuzz with activity for the annual zone event that attracted a big crowd of supporters. Throws and puts, high jump, long jump, track and field, relays plus distance and sprint races kept officials and children busy for the day. For the first time this year, 12-year-old boys and girls competed in the Nerf throw, which even had its own Facebook and instructional video to teach good throwing technique. And now it's time to take a look at the weather.
Nominations are open for the 2015 Southland Environment Awards. This year marks the 20th year of the awards, and Environment Southland wants to hear about anyone who's making a difference in our region: individuals, schools, farmers, community groups and businesses. If that's you or someone you know, get an entry form and let's recognise and celebrate these environmental achievers. Entries close May 1st. Contact Environment Southland for details today.
And taking a look at the temperatures around the country today for Monday the 30th of March. Auckland coming in on 22 degrees, 19 shared by Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin. Queenstown on 17, Gore and Invercargill topping at 13 today at 3 o'clock, and Stewart Island on 11. Tomorrow we can expect cloudy periods and isolated showers mainly about the coast with westerly winds. 16 the high for Winton and Wyndham tomorrow, 15 for Riverton. Invercargill should reach 16 tomorrow, as should Gore, and Tuatapi's chasing 15 degrees. And a little warmer in Te Anau on 18 and Queenstown on 19 tomorrow. To the marine forecast for Fovo, southwest 25 knots changing to westerly 15 knots, rough sea easing with a 3 metre southwest swell, fair visibility in a few showers, and for Pusaga, northwest 20 knots to northwest 30 knots, southwest swell of 4 metres, rough sea at times and a fair visibility in a few showers again. Looking ahead to the long range forecast for Wednesday, mostly fine with areas of morning cloud and northwest breezes. Thursday, high cloud increasing with scattered late rain, northwesterlies picking up, turning light southerly at night and becoming fine in the morning on Friday with northerlies developing. And that's it from us this Monday. Stay with us for sport up next, but from the news team, it's good night.